Hello Andrew, thank you for talking to me tonight. My name's Karen Booth and I work for Equinix. I look after all of our retail customers within Equinix, and I'm really interested to understand your role within Sainsbury's and how you see the banking revolution affecting Sainsbury's.
My name's Andrew Hogwood. I work for Sainsbury's Group, so that's Sainsbury's, Argos and Habitat. My area that I look after is all the next generation of financial services that we can bring to our retail customers. So things like open banking, particularly interesting for us with both the AIS area where we can use customer information to drive more value for them, but also the PIS area where we can do payments instantaneously from a customer's bank account across to pay for their shopping in Sainsbury's for us.
So how far off do you think PIS payments are within retail?
So, I think when we talk about a revolution, it's more that we're beginning on the journey to see how it can work, particularly in digital space. A lot of open banking is about opening up the back ends of banks so that we can get information from, say, your bank to my bank very quickly. That's predominantly being done in the digital, so the e-commerce space to start with, or on your phone on an app. In the app space, that's quite interesting. It can be quite a good customer experience. But in the physical stores, if you're actually in a store wanting to pay for something, you probably use your card or cash still. It's not immediately obvious how we're going to use open banking in that environment yet.
And what's driving the retailers towards the open banking?
I think part of it in the AIS space is that if we have more information about a customer, we can see when they're spending, we can see if we could give them better offers, we can see if they could save them money, or even if they're spending with a competitor, we might be able to think, oh, actually, we're not quite doing well enough for this customer at the moment. In the payment initiation space, it's an alternative to, we don't necessarily have to use MasterCard, Visa or Amex, and there obviously could be cost savings for us there. But the key to us is the best customer experience. If it can be as good, if not better than the customer experience using some of the current payment mechanisms, then we're very interested in it for our customers.
What's going to drive retailer adoption?
I think the main thing that would drive retailer adoption is when the customer experience becomes so slick that when you want to buy something, it's as painless as when you go to any other channel. Or when you normally have card on file, you put in your CVC code and you just press a button. If you can get customer experience that's that fast, there are advantages of the open banking. It can check that you've got enough money in there so you can't go over limit. Your card will never go out of date. And even things like, can you do with the strong factor authentication coming in, this could be like an easier way of, it's one click. Whereas, although currently the journeys are one click, with the strong factor coming in, actually that journey is going to become more difficult. So I think there's things like that. What hasn't been worked out yet, which I think will be a later question you come to, is how are we going to do things like refunds, and how can we do, they call it variable recurring payments, but how are we going to make it so the customer only has to give us details once rather than we ask them lots of complicated steps every time. Those kind of problems need to be solved for us to actually get this at scale in market.
Do the retailers have any concerns about the revolution ahead?
I think when it's ready, we'll adopt it. We always have. It's like contactless. Anything that helps us give a better customer experience, we want to do. There are benefits for us. There's more information. There's potentially cost savings. There's no reason why we wouldn't adopt it. It's just, it has to be best for customer. If it's not ready for customer, then we won't do it. The very encouraging news is that the actual back-end technology, the APIs at the banks, they've all come on, they're all relatively stable, whereas in 6 months, a year ago, it actually working wasn't a given. Now, at a base level, it works. It's more trying to get the customer experience, all those processes in place so that the customers will use it.
Well, I'm really excited about it, but from a consumer perspective, it sounds fantastic.
I think there are multiple things that it could open up. The whole point of open banking was to try and open up more competition, but more value. And the value won't necessarily come from where we think it will be, so there'll be a bit of experimentation in there. But for me, actually, the AIS bit is as exciting as the PIS bit. But looking, how can we use that information? How can we try and, when people really want to be able to afford things, but they've got a squeeze moment in their life before holidays, before Christmas, how can we more actively help customers in that time of year? Or those crucial moments. That's where more information from AIS would be really useful for the customer.